There is a machine that fires a laser at a droplet of molten tin 50,000 times every second, vaporizing it into a plasma hotter than the surface of the sun to produce a wavelength of light so extreme it does not naturally exist anywhere on Earth. That machine weighs about as much as a fully loaded commercial airliner. It takes 6 months and roughly 250 engineers just to assemble on site, after arriving in more than 250 separate shipping crates, fully installed, including the specialized cleanroom infrastructure and training required to run it. The total cost of putting one of these machines into production can approach $500 million. Only one company on the planet knows how to build it. Every advanced chip made anywhere in the world, the processor in your phone, the GPU training the AI models everyone is talking about, depends on this single machine existing. Almost nobody outside the semiconductor industry has ever seen one. This is the story of how it works and why nobody else can build it. Making a modern computer chip means printing an almost unimaginably small pattern onto a silicon wafer over and over in layer after layer. The process is called lithography, and it works a bit like a very precise stencil, using light to transfer a circuit design onto the surface of the chip. The smaller the features you can print, the more transistors you can fit onto a single chip, and more transistors generally means more computing power in the same physical space. For decades, chip makers used light with a wavelength of 193 nanometers to do this printing. That approach worked well for a long time, but eventually it ran into a hard physical limit. You cannot print a feature smaller than roughly the wavelength of light you are using to print it, at least not without extremely complicated workarounds that add cost and introduce more chances for error. By the early 2000s, the chip industry could see this wall coming. To keep making smaller, faster, more efficient chips, the whole industry needed a fundamentally shorter wavelength of light. The problem was that nobody had ever figured out how to generate that kind of light reliably, control it precisely enough, and use it in an industrial manufacturing process. One company spent the better part of 2 decades and billions of dollars solving that exact problem. That company is ASML, based in a small city in the Netherlands called Veldhoven. The wavelength ASML eventually settled on is 13.5 nanometers, a category of light called extreme ultraviolet. This wavelength is roughly 14 times shorter than the light previous generations of lithography machines used, which allows chip makers to print dramatically smaller features. The problem is that light at this wavelength does not occur naturally in any usable form, and it is absorbed almost instantly by nearly everything it touches, including ordinary air. You cannot generate it with a conventional lamp or laser the way you would generate visible light. ASML's solution is one of the strangest manufacturing processes in modern industry. Inside the machine, a device sprays microscopic droplets of molten tin into a vacuum chamber at a rate of roughly 50,000 droplets every second. As each droplet falls, it gets hit twice. First, a low-energy laser pulse strikes the droplet and flattens it into a thin disc shape to make it easier to vaporize evenly. A fraction of a second later, a second, far more powerful laser pulse blasts that flattened disc directly, instantly converting the tin into a superheated plasma. That plasma, for a brief instant, emits light at exactly the 13.5 nanometer wavelength the machine needs. This entire sequence happens 50,000 times per second, continuously, for as long as the machine is running. It is, in effect, manufacturing tiny, precisely controlled bursts of extreme ultraviolet light, one tin droplet at a time, because there was no other way to produce it. Generating the light is only the first problem. The second problem is even harder. Once you have this light, you have to guide it, shape it, and focus it onto a silicon wafer with almost impossible precision, and you cannot use a normal lens to do it. Extreme ultraviolet light is absorbed by ordinary glass almost instantly. A traditional lens, the kind used in every previous generation of lithography machine, would simply block the light rather than focus it. ASML's solution was to abandon lenses entirely for this part of the process and build a system based entirely on mirrors instead. These are not ordinary mirrors. They are built with multiple ultra-thin layers of different materials stacked on top of each other, engineered so that the reflected light from each layer combines constructively to reflect as much of the extreme ultraviolet light as possible, since even the best mirror at this wavelength only reflects a fraction of the light that hits it. The surface of these mirrors is polished to a level of smoothness, measured in fractions of a nanometer. If one of these mirrors were scaled up to the size of Germany, the tallest imperfection on its surface would be roughly 1 millimeter high. These mirrors are made by Zeiss, a German optics company that has worked with ASML for decades specifically on this problem. The light bounces across a series of these mirrors inside the machine, losing a portion of its intensity at every reflection, before finally being focused down onto the wafer to print the pattern. The entire optical path operates inside a near vacuum, because even a small amount of ordinary air would absorb too much of the light before it ever reached its target. Here is the detail that explains why ASML has no real competitor in this specific category. An EUV machine is not really a single invention. It is a coordinated system built from the most advanced components several completely different industries have ever produced, none of which ASML makes entirely by itself. The light source technology descends from ASML's acquisition of a company called Cymer, which spent years perfecting the laser and tin droplet system at the heart of the machine. The mirrors come from Zeiss, representing decades of precision optics expertise that essentially no other company in the world can currently match at this level. The machine also depends on ultra-precise stages that hold and move the silicon wafer with nanometer-level accuracy, specialized vacuum systems, and thousands of other components sourced from a global supply chain of roughly 5,000 different suppliers. A single EUV machine contains more than 100,000 individual parts. No single country and no single company outside this specific web of partnerships, built up over more than 2 decades, currently has the combined expertise to replicate the entire system from scratch. Competitors have tried. Japanese company Nikon, once a serious rival to ASML in earlier generations of lithography technology, has attempted to develop its own EUV systems, but has not been able to bring a commercially competitive machine to market. Building a rival to ASML would not just mean building a better laser or a better mirror, it would mean rebuilding from nothing an entire ecosystem of suppliers and accumulated engineering knowledge that took ASML and its partners the better part of 20 years and billions of dollars to develop. This is also why ASML's early development of this technology was so financially risky that the company brought in its 3 largest customers, Intel, TSMC, and Samsung, as investors and co-funders of the research, selling off a meaningful stake in the company just to keep the EUV program alive long enough to work. Once a chipmaker orders one of these machines, receiving it is not like receiving a piece of factory equipment. The machine arrives disassembled, spread across more than 250 separate shipping crates, because a machine this size and complexity simply cannot be transported in one piece. Reassembling it on site takes roughly 6 months and requires around 250 specialized engineers working together, carefully rebuilding a system where components need to be aligned to tolerances smaller than the wavelength of light the machine is designed to produce. Every mirror, every stage, every vacuum seal has to be positioned with extraordinary precision because a machine built to control light at the nanometer scale has essentially no tolerance for error anywhere in its assembly. This is also why deploying one of these machines costs far more than the sticker price of the machine itself. Beyond the roughly $350 to $400 million cost of the system, chip makers need specialized cleanroom facilities capable of supporting it, extensive staff training, and supporting infrastructure that can push the full cost of bringing a single unit into production well past the machine's base price, and in some cases, toward or beyond $500 million once every element of deployment is accounted for. Every advanced logic chip currently being manufactured at the smallest, most competitive process nodes, the kind of chips that power the newest smartphones, the fastest data center processors, and the GPUs training today's largest AI models, depends on EUV lithography somewhere in its production process. There is no alternative manufacturing path at these node sizes. A chip maker cannot simply choose a different supplier or build a workaround, because ASML is currently the only company in the world producing machines capable of this level of precision at commercial scale. That single point of dependency has made ASML one of the most strategically significant companies in the global economy, not because of what it sells directly to consumers, since it sells nothing to consumers at all, but because of what its machines make possible for everyone else. It has also placed ASML at the center of geopolitical tension between major economic powers, since controlling access to this technology effectively means controlling a nation's ability to manufacture the most advanced chips in the world. Export restrictions on ASML's most advanced machines have become a genuine tool of international policy, precisely because there is no substitute for what this machine does. ASML has not stopped developing this technology. The company is now shipping an even more advanced version called High-NA EUV, which uses a larger optical system to achieve even finer precision, printing features roughly 40% smaller than the previous generation of EUV machines could manage. These newer systems cost even more than their predecessors, and only a handful of companies in the world, chip makers like Intel, TSMC, Samsung, and a small number of major research institutions, have the technical capability and financial resources to purchase and operate them at all. Fewer than a dozen of these newest machines currently exist anywhere on Earth. This pattern is likely to continue. As chip designs keep pushing towards smaller, denser transistors, the lithography equipment required to print them keeps growing more complex, more expensive, and more concentrated in the hands of the very few organizations capable of building and operating it. The machine at the center of this story is not a one-time engineering achievement. It is the leading edge of a technology race that shows no sign of slowing down.